Hello everybody and welcome back to FX Tweet. My name is Akash and today we're going to be taking a look at Bitcoin and analyze all the different scenarios that could take place, not just from a lower time frame perspective, but also take a look at the dead cat bounce and the possibility of a move up to 41k, which could eventually turn around and crash Bitcoin down to probably 19k. Right, so let's get into this today's content. Right before we actually get into the details, please make sure to head on over to our YouTube channel and hit the subscribe button. And if you want to stay updated to the hottest trends and the content that we produce almost on a say everyday basis, please make sure to click on this bell icon. You can also give us a follow on Twitter at FXSCrypto, and if you enjoy the stuff that I put out both on my Twitter or on my YouTube channel here, please make sure to also give me a follow at Mangeko with a 0 at the end. Right, so let's start from a lower time frame perspective. Like all these days, I'm kind of scalping Bitcoin. Like I longed this move up here, I shorted the move down here. Although I kind of wanted to long this here because I spotted a fractal. Right, I expected the price to move up here over the weekend, but I kind of was unsure. The main reason for my uncertainty was because the price and how it's formed equal lows around the 30th of May. 30th of May, Bitcoin price formed a swing low at roughly 29,288, and it was retested again on the 1st of June, and we got a very minor swing low below this level here. Now, although technically it is a sweep of the Monday's low, I'm kind of it's not satisfying for the price to do such a small sweep, right? So I'm kind of expecting the price to move down again. Now I could be wrong, right? But there is a clear possibility that the price could come down here, sweep the Monday's low, previous Monday's lows, and then go higher. So for now, I'm just waiting for the Monday's lows to form. I've already shorted Bitcoin, so I'm just going to see how it evolves. I could either get stopped out. If I do get stopped out, I'm going to wait for the price to form the Monday's high, and then I'm going to see where it goes next, right? So the reason why I'm expecting the price to go down can be seen here in this particular chart, right? I'm on a 2-hour time frame on a Bitcoin chart, and this setup that I see here usually contains a range low that is formed first, after which a range high forms, which was formed here, and then we have a range high deviation where the price deviates above the formed range high. And after this, the price consolidates for a bit, produces an MSB. MSB is basically a market structure break. So the price forms an MSB where the price forms a lower low relative to the low formed between these two swing highs. Right, and after this MSB is done, the price eventually goes back up and trades into the supply zone that was formed here, which led to this massive drop. Right, as price enters into this supply zone here, there are a lot of underwater investors who kind of long here and are waiting to sell, but didn't get the chance because the price swiftly moved away from them. Now these investors are probably, like, theoretically speaking, purely theoretically speaking, these investors could sell here and trigger another downswing, right? Basically, that is the whole theory behind order blocks, right? And if you look at it, this is a supply order block, right? And based on that, the supply order block here extends from 31.4k to 31.8k. Now, what I'm expecting is for the price to retrace down here, if not all the way down to previous Monday's lows. It could go up to this point here, which is where the FPG is present. Right, so at least from here, this would be a very quick 4% downswing. Now, if we get a sweep of the previous Monday's lows, I would gladly, like, blindly open a long position here and book profits at the CME gap here, which extends from 34.4k to 35.1k. Now, this is an ideal scenario that I've kind of been talking about on my YouTube channel for quite some time. Right, if you just click this link. Right, I've been talking about this all along, like CME gaps for quite some time, 33k. Right, so now that we've kind of moved above the 4-hour 200 moving average here, there is a chance we could eventually go up and meet the CME gap. But then again, right, I kind of noticed that literally everybody in the crypto Twitter is kind of expecting the price to go up and fill the CME gap. Now, there are two ways this could play out. A, we could go retest this in an ideal scenario, in an ideal environment. Like, we could see the price go up and retest 35.1k. Now, this would fill the CME gap that is present here. Let me just show you. But as you can see here, the price between the 6th May and 9th May, Bitcoin formed a gap extending from 34.4K to 35.1K. Now this gap has virtually been unfilled and is what I'm expecting to get filled. Now, since everybody's expecting this, right, like there's a chance price could do something other than this, right? Like I've been talking about dead cat bounce for quite some time. Like I've uploaded videos on FX Street expecting a dead cat bounce, and I've uploaded videos on my personal YouTube channel expecting dead cat bounce. But the only thing that I'm kind of worried about is the way the price, the way everybody's expecting dead cat bounce up to 35K. Now the way this could change is if you go on a weekly time frame and observe how the candlesticks are formed here, right? These are the important levels, right? Weekly resistance level here is present at 36.2K, and then another resistance level is present at 37.7K. So instead of putting a ceiling on BTC for the relief rally only at 35.1K, we could expect the price to go up to 37.7K, right? In some cases, the price could eventually go up to 40K just to kind of flip the narrative from being overly bearish down here to overly bullish up here. Now this would be an ideal scenario for the market makers to flip the switch and cue the sell orders. This would literally catch a lot of people off guard, and it would liquidate their long positions, and it would collect all the stop losses, and it would virtually be Christmas for market makers or smart money investors, whoever you want to call them. Whales, institutions, market makers, smart money investors. Now that would be a really good kind of outlook, right? This is the first and the most optimistic outlook for a dead cat bounce or relief rally that that everybody in CT is expecting. Now, the second scenario would ideally be something different. Now, let me just run it back and explain how everybody's expecting Bitcoin to fill the CME gap, right? But what not a lot of people are noticing is that there is gap to the downside as well. Now this gap extends from 23.8K to 25.3K, right? So there's no clear indication in the price action or even in on-chain metrics that the price is going to go lower or the price is going to go higher, right? So in that sense, we do not know which gap is going to be filled first. Now, depending on like the way Bitcoin is kind of consolidating here, either one could happen, right? So another scenario where a lot of people could get caught off guard is, right, including me, right? I'm expecting Bitcoin price to I'm expecting the long Bitcoin around the previous Monday's low. Now, if Bitcoin price crashes from here, right, and goes down, fills the CME gap, extending here from 25.3K to 23.8K, that would still catch a lot of longs off guard. Now I see a lot of investors on CryptoTwitter or influencers on CryptoTwitter have longed Bitcoin during the weekend. Now it would really be an amazing sight to behold, to see Bitcoin crash right here from now and go all the way down to the May 12th crash and way below that at 23.8K. Now this would be perfect, right? So another kind of narrative that kind of plays into this crash from where we are right now is oh my gosh, hold up. Okay, I think I have it. Actually, just a second. I did not have the chart on standby for some reason. Either way, let me just explain. Or okay, it is FTX. Bitcoin perp. Okay, cool. So another narrative that kind of fills or like kind of adds thesis or add credence to my outlook, where I'm expecting Bitcoin price to crash and fill the CME gap to the downside first, is so another narrative that would catch a lot of people off guard if Bitcoin falls down to 23.8k would be this particular scenario, where although it's very premature for me to consider this as a bear flag, I am still doing that. Right now, the overall bear flag that we've seen here that has formed for quite some time kind of predicts the Bitcoin price could crash down to 20k. And now this is a very well-known target, very well-known pattern that a lot of people on Twitter are talking about, right? And what not a lot of people are talking about is this bear flag that we see here on a lower time frame, right? On a not a lower time frame, but on a lower scale, right? This fractal is what kind of gives me the creeps, or like kind of makes me think twice about my longs. Is if this bear flag evolves into what I believe it will, then it also predicts a crash down to 20,560. Now the targets for both these overall the bigger bear flag and the low bear flag is pretty much the same, is like another proof or another reason which kind of indicates that the price is going to go lower, right? So let me just summarize right quickly what's happened so far. On a shorter time frame perspective, from a scalping point of view, right, things are looking pretty good here for Bitcoin. I'm expecting Bitcoin price to crash down to Monday's low here at 29,288. Now if we get that, I'm gonna blindly open a long position here with profits around the CME gap. Now that's what I've been expecting for quite some time, and that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna stick to my plan. Now the only way this plan could like I could benefit from an unknown scenario would be if price goes up to 37k. And the reason why 37k and 36k is important is because you can see it on a weekly time frame that these levels are pretty important and serve as an important resistance or a hurdle on a weekly time frame. Now, the second scenario, which could also catch people off guard, is if Bitcoin price crashes down and fills the fair value gap, not the fair value gap, but the CME gap to the downside here, which extends from 23.8k to 25.3k. Now, this scenario would obviously catch a lot of people off guard, and another chart that kind of adds credence to the bearish thesis and the CME gap to the downside getting filled first is this particular chart here, where it shows the formation of a smaller bear flag in an already ongoing larger bear flag. This bear flag and the larger bear flag both have targets kind of coinciding around the 20k psychological level, which kind of makes me believe that the uptrend that we're seeing here right now is kind of getting will kind of get stopped around 32k probably or 33k. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today's analysis on Bitcoin and how multiple kind of scenarios at least from bearish standpoint arrive at a similar outlook, which is 20k, right? But I do have to clarify that even in this dead cat bounce scenario or relief scenario, I'm expecting Bitcoin price to go up to 37k is momentary. But if you look at it from a higher time frame perspective, right, I'm still expecting Bitcoin price to go down to 19k, 20k, and the reason for that can be seen in this chart over here, right? The overall bear flag that I just showed you kind of predicts around 20k, right? So despite me predicting that Bitcoin price will go up to 36, 35, 37k, the macro bearish outlook, the macro outlook is still bearish, right? In a bearish outlook, I'm expecting a relief rally to 37k. Now, yep, so that is pretty much it, right, guys? If you enjoyed this analysis, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.